Double Fries No Slaw, the morning show. This thing on, I need some people. It was giving us a hard time and not connecting super well, but we are here. And I set this broadcast for 11:20, so we're actually on time today. So shout out to me. And shout out to Harlan, who works a thankless job, and so I do try and thank him when we can. That is not as exciting as it sounded if the mic picked it up. It's just a Diet Coke, but if the mic picked up the sound on that, it probably sounded a lot more exciting than it actually was. I guess let me get this tweet out and we will start to roll. I said this last week too, but I do try and just stall a little bit at the beginning so that more live viewers can get in. We can start to get some call-ins. You guys can talk. We are like 2 hours later than we normally are. Usually go at 9 a.m. But just had a busy morning. I drove right past my kids' exit today, like taking them to school. I drive the same road every morning and afternoon, and my kids weren't fighting in the car. Again, I know that nobody tuned in for this crap, but my kids weren't fighting in the car, but they were kind of arguing a little bit. My daughter was playing this game where she kept telling my 3-year-old, 1 second, 1 second, 1 second, with the toy she was playing with. And I told her, I said, I don't care if you give him the toy or not, but like, stop saying 1 second, 1 second. Like, just tell him you're not giving it to him if you're not going to give it to him. And she goes, oh, I'll give it to him when it says that we have 10 minutes to go till school. I know where I'm going. Clearly I didn't this morning, but I said, okay. So I put the GPS on and let it say 10 minutes. And then, so anyway, so she gave it to him in 10 minutes. And then we ran into a little bit of a stop and go. So it went up to 12 minutes and she's like, oh, 12 minutes, give it back to me. And I was like, nah, we're not playing that game. So I was just distracted. I drove right past the exit to drop my kids off at school this morning. So then I had to sit in more traffic. They were late. I got home late. I told Harlan we'll just go at 11 a.m. So here it is, 11:20, and we're finally on. But the broadcast was set for 11:20. So technically, despite being late, I was on time. Nobody wanted to hear that story, but as we let some people file in here on the live, you got a day in the life of TJ the dad. So you're welcome. Is anybody on anything stronger right now than Diet Coke? That is the question of the chat today. Are you drinking anything? Is Florida State forcing you? If you have a problem, I'm giving you an excuse. Is Florida State forcing anyone in the chat or that watches this on replay? It's kind of cheating if you watch it on replay, because if you watch it at 7:00 tonight, then yeah, you might be drinking something stronger than Diet Coke. Is anybody that's watching this before 2 p.m. on anything stronger than Diet Coke? That would be my question for the chat today. I know we all want to talk about coaching and James Franklin and whomever, or Mike Norvell, whatever. But I would like to know if anybody's on anything that's a little bit stronger than I am. Noles fan 96. Boy, did you graduate in 96? Because I don't know if that's the year that I would be brought. I kind of try to block out that year based on how it finished. But coming up from Charlotte to NC State. We don't have a tailgate planned for NC State this weekend, but I am going to crash at least 2 tailgates. And I don't do a good job of this on YouTube. And now the service around the stadium is always tough. And I'm not looking for followers. I'm not asking you guys to subscribe to something new or whatever. But if you'll keep an eye out on my Twitter, I will absolutely tweet out where I'm at. And I will try my very best to remember to do that on YouTube. But like, once it gets to game day, I'm not very good at like, oh, let me go post to Instagram where I'm at. Let me go post to TikTok where I'm at. Let me go post to YouTube. Like, I kind of just use Twitter for that. So I'm not asking you to follow me. I don't need more follows. Most of my tweets are stupid anyway, but that's probably where I'll post it, and I'll pin the tweet so that people can just see it. So anyway, if I can remember, if somebody will email me, or if you see me in person, remind me like, hey, take your phone out and post it to YouTube. I'll do a YouTube post of where we're at. If you happen to be coming to the game, you're welcome to come crash the tailgate where I'm at. Bring a 6-pack or something. So, like, we're not charging and the guy's not charging me to come, but if you come by, bring a 6-pack or give the host $20 or something. Not me, but the people that set it up. If you're coming to NC State, hopefully we'll see some of you out there. I know a lot of you live in that area, and despite the season's results and maybe your frustration with the program, it is always exciting to enjoy a game day. If you want to win this game, you've got a good opportunity with NC State just losing by about $5 billion to Miami last week. They're not a good team either. Florida State is a favorite for a reason. We'll see if they can get their first win on the road since 2023. What do we want to talk about today? There is a call-in link available. It's in the description. You're more than welcome to throw it in the comments too, Harlan, if you haven't already done that. Somebody's on hard cider here at 11:30 in the morning. Listen, I'm going to say you're on hard cider. If I could get the words out, you're on hard cider here at, it's really 8:30 in the morning, California time. So, I mean, I know Thorne is not in California, but if you think about it like that, like Thorne's really a wild boy with the with the hard cider at 8:30 in the morning. But if you'd like to call in, if you'd like to chat about anything, we certainly can. We can talk about James Franklin going to Virginia Tech. I know that had people feeling all kinds of different ways. We've talked about James Franklin an absolute ton on the show. None of my thoughts on him have changed. Listen, I don't know what you think about whether he should have come to FSU, but that's a hell of a pickup for Virginia Tech. Like, let's just be real. I know that if you were a Florida State fan, you may have had mixed thoughts on whether or not Franklin should come. That's a great pickup for VT. I mean, it just is. Whether, they're not the program that Florida State is. Nobody would argue that they are. And so you go out and you get a guy who a year ago less than a year ago, was in the national semifinal. And I know their road was easy. And I know that once they played Notre Dame, they lost all this stuff. They were a drive away from being in the national championship game in a rematch with Ohio State, which they very likely would have lost. But football is weird. And who knows, man, maybe Jim Noles would have had something for him in that game and they would have struggled a little bit. It's a hell of a pickup for Virginia Tech. And I think it would have been a good pickup for FSU too. For program status and candidate available, we're probably going to look back. Hopefully Florida State proves me wrong on this. But I think we're going to look back and say Virginia Tech made the best hire of the cycle. It was the first hire of the cycle. But I think when you consider the candidate and the quality, and then you also look at the program status, like where Virginia Tech is in the grand scheme of things, they are a tier 2 at best ACC program. Like, think about that. Florida State, Clemson, Miami, probably in tier 1. Everybody else a rung down. Virginia Tech is probably in that tier 2. Like, when you think about them, I don't know that Virginia Tech's going to the power 2. Like, when realignment comes back around, they might be a tier 3 program in the ACC because they've won. I'll give them tier 2 to be in the ACC and not be a premier brand, to be a second. They're not even the premier institution in their state. Virginia is the flagship school. Now, Virginia Tech's a better program, but I think we might get to the end of this cycle and say they made the best hire. Now, somebody's going to get Lane Kiffin, right? Either he's going to stay at Ole Miss, go to LSU, So Lane Kiffin's a better candidate, but a better candidate going to a top 10 job like an LSU or a Florida, to me, is less impressive than Virginia Tech getting James Franklin. So, yeah, I've convinced myself. Like, I said it without thinking. I say a lot of things before I run them through any kind of filter. And I have now convinced myself. Virginia Tech, my bold prediction, I don't even think it's that bold, is that they will have made the hire of the offseason. Hopefully Florida State proves me wrong on that, and they go out and do it. To make that a reality, to even make a top 5 hire of the offseason, Florida State needs to fire their coach. And there are probably mixed emotions on that. Not really from you guys. Like, I do think that if you continue to tune in to me fire Mike Norvell every single week, you are either a complete masochist who hates yourself and hates me too for continuing to say it, or you agree with me because you know what I'm going to say. I haven't changed my tune on this. I'm not just all of a sudden going to think something different because you beat an awful Virginia Tech team. And so, yeah, like, there are certainly people who don't agree with me that we should move on from Norvell. But if you keep tuning in to listen to me and you don't agree, maybe you just like me as a person. I doubt that. But the people that tune in every single week, so there are some, I'll take that back. There are some people that tune in every week just to yell at me in the comments about my take on what Florida State should do from a moving forward situation. I got no problem. The haters and lovers, they all count the same. They're all views, right? But why do you keep tuning in? It's like the most hardcore MAGA guy possible, like tuning into The View every week and then getting mad that like that they don't agree with him. And it's just like, wait, you know what? It's like the most liberal person ever following Trump on Twitter. Like, why do you do this? Like, why do you, I know that's an extreme comparison and somebody will get mad at that. Like I'm taking a side or making a political statement. Somebody will absolutely get mad at that. But why do you do that? Why? You know what the content's going to be. So yeah, I haven't changed my mind on this. We haven't gotten to Tuesday after beating Virginia Tech. So please don't get mad at that. Okay. Like just be an adult for a little bit. Somebody's going to DM me. I can tell. I'll screenshot it for Harlan. I'm not going to put everybody else on blast, but, if you see me at NC State, I'll screenshot whoever it is that gets mad and DMs me. You know, I tune in to not listen to politics and I'm like, all right, but it's Tuesday. I haven't changed my mind. I'm not in a different headspace. If you had told me before the season that our standard, which this is not my standard, this is not Bobby's standard, this is not Florida State's standard, I think from a supporter standpoint. If you'd have told me before the season, if Michael Alford would have come on here and said, look, TJ, if he gets to 7 wins, we're going to keep him. We've looked at the schedule. We've looked at what we think is realistic this year. We do believe that if it gets to 7 wins, that's not where we ultimately want to be, but we're trending in the right direction. We're going to keep him at 7 wins. If Michael Alford would have told the fan base that before the season, first of all, he would never say that because nobody's going to be that happy with 7 wins, whether we all predicted that or not. But if he just said that, and then Florida State goes on to win these next 2 games and gets to 7-5, I think it makes sense to bring him back. If that's where your expectation was. As a fan, 7 wins at Florida State is not good enough to me. Now,
you're fired.
Bro, that scared the crap out of me, Harlan. I did not know what that was. 7 wins is not good enough at Florida State. Now, is 7 wins progress from 2? I guess. Yes, I would suppose that 7 wins after a 2-win season is progress. Is the offense better this year than it was last year? I would say yes, it is. Is quarterback play better this year? Are the running backs better this year? Wide receivers better this year. Offensive line. Everything has shown improvement. Everything has been progress. Kicking is not. I would say kicking has gone the other way. But you also have a guy in the NFL right now that kicked for you last year that has 3 game winners now. Yeah, kicking has taken a step back. Defensively, I think the defensive line has shown progress. I think the linebackers have been bad both years, and I don't think that there's been much progress there. I think that is probably, but again, look who's coaching them. And then I think the secondary has, at times, that's a little tougher to me to really nail down on if I think they've gotten better or not. You lost, Azariah Thomas goes 2nd or 3rd round. You lost a really good player. You probably didn't replace him as much. Jabril Rawls out for the year. The secondary may not have progressed, but most position groups on this team have progressed. And I think you could very easily sell the idea that Florida State got better this year. I don't think there's anybody in the world that would question that. They are objectively better, even if they lose these next 2 games at 5-7 than they were 2-2. I would take the 2020, 5 version of FSU over the 2024 version 10 times out of 10. There would never be a situation where I would say that this team is not better than the other one. And I think we can all agree with that. The question is not whether or not this team got better. My car being broken down is better than my car being broken down and on fire, right? Like that's what I look at 2025 to 2024. 2025 is still not very good. It's a car that needs fixing. 2024 was a car that is broken down and is also caught on fire on the side of the road. And so going from a car on fire to a car that is just broken down, well, guess what? You ain't driving either one of them. You ain't moving with either one of them. You're not going anywhere with either one of them. And I think that's where we are with Mike Norvell. The car is no longer on fire. We have put the fire out, right? I do agree with that. And I do believe that. And a car that's broken down can be fixed. A car that's on fire cannot be worked on. And I think that's the best comparison. I literally just came up with that as we're talking. A car that's on fire cannot be fixed, right? And so, yes, we are in a situation where the car is no longer on fire. The car is just broken down. But again, with a car that's broken down and with a car that's on fire, you ain't going anywhere either way. And that's where I think we are as a program with Mike Norvell. We may not be on fire anymore. We may not go 2-10 again. We may not miss a bowl again. We may miss a bowl here in, whatever it is, 10, 11, 12 days. But we're still not going anywhere. And that's my ultimate thoughts on Mike Norvell is it's a car that just doesn't run. It's a car that has seats. It's a car that may get to a bowl game. I don't think a car that doesn't run is the standard at Florida State. We may have predicted 6 or 7 wins this year. I think Richie was at 7. I was at 6. I think there's a really good chance that Florida State gets to one of those 2 records. Now, could they absolutely lose these next 2 games on the road? I mean, you tell me. They haven't won a road game since 2023. There's a great chance they miss a bowl. There's an equally good chance that they win both these games. ESPN thinks you're going to win both these games, even though they're on the road. When you look at their FPI, Florida State is favored in both of these games. In Vegas, they're a favorite this weekend. So they may get to 6 wins. They may get to 7 wins. I am still of the belief, and I am still of the mindset that beating an NC State team that lost by $1 billion to Miami and beating a Virginia Tech and Florida team that don't have a coach and have quit, that is not enough to save your job either. Getting 3 wins at the end of the year or 4 wins in 5 games because you beat Wake Forest too does not save a job to me. Now, it might to Michael Alford. It might to FSU's administration. It might to Peter Collins, the Board of Trustees chair. It might to President McCullough. Those are the guys making the decisions, not me. And so I don't believe that the standard at Florida State is you were objectively awful. You were 4-5, and then you found a way to beat 4 bad teams down the stretch. Not good teams, not Clemson, which they're not a good team either, but nobody that you had a close talent gap to, but teams without coaches, teams without a lot of talent. To me, that's not enough. And I'll just tell you this. If he gets to 7-5, I think it's very unlikely they fire him. I'll just be honest with you. I don't think they will. I'd love for them to prove me wrong, but it seems like that's the way it's trending. I don't think that should be the case. I don't think you should get to 7-5 and say, you know what? Yeah, man, that was a really impressive run to finish the season. I think that's going to be a hard thing to sell to donors. I think that's going to be a hard thing to sell to boosters. It is not my job to sell that to boosters. It is not my job to sell that to people that are stroking anywhere from $70 a year all the way up to tens of millions of dollars a year. It is not my job to sell that. The folks at Florida State that do have to sell that, that's their job. I think the administration puts them in a very tough position if they're trying to sell Mike Norvell. Again, I hate to go back to this analogy, but it's the best I could come up with. I think it's hard to sell a broken down car. I think it's hard to sell a product that doesn't work. Could Mike Norvell work? Could you fix things? Yeah. Broken down cars get refixed all the time. There is a timeline and a path that exists in this world where it could get fixed. I don't believe it could. That's my opinion. I've been wrong a lot this year. I've made a lot of mistakes. I thought we were beating Virginia. I thought we were beating Pitt. I think I may have picked us to beat Miami. I can't remember that one. I certainly picked us to beat Stanford. I will say, for all the misses, I'm 4 for 4 in the last games. I took us to beat Wake. I took us to lose to Clemson. 3 games. I took us to lose to or beat Virginia Tech. So I am 3 for 3 in my last 3. But I've been wrong a lot. That's just an opinion. I think the car is too broken to be fixed. When you go to get a car fixed, where do you go? You go to a reputable mechanic. You go to somebody who you trust to get it back on the road. You go to a dealership. What is the dealership? What is the fix? What is the way to get it back on the road? It's high school recruiting, and he still doesn't do that well enough. There's a lot of 3-stars in this class. Maybe they're high upside guys, like the Desir twins. They can come in and make an impact right away. The majority of Norvell's career has shown you that hasn't been the case. And I don't think that is the situation we're in. Would love for him to prove me wrong with that. Would love for him to never lose another game at Florida State for the rest of his career, whether that's 2 games or that's 200 games. I don't believe that it's going to be the case. Even if he was recruiting better, I think the stat is still that he's around 21-21 with a talent advantage. Florida State has not recruited up to the standard of Florida State, but they've still out-recruited the rest of the ACC minus Clemson and Miami. And they still can't win more than 3 ACC games now in 2 years. Recruiting is the fix. If you think the car can be fixed, it has to be done through recruiting, has to be done through dominating the portal. Are you confident that Mike Norvell can do that? Are you confident that he can get those things done to get the car fixed? I'm not. Again, I've been wrong a lot. I get called out for being wrong a lot. That's totally fine. I'm good with it. But I have a tough time seeing it. If you want to be in a better mood, I'm not drinking one right now because it is 11:41 in the morning. But my friends over at drinkhalo.com have a THC seltzer that is perfect for you. It will put you in a better mood, or it will make you not care for at least the time that the effects linger. Go to drinkhalo.com, use our code DFNS10 to get 10% off of your order. Again, some of you are bigger tea fans, some of you are bigger lemonade fans. I'm a big fan of blending them. There is I don't know if I'm allowed to say Arnold Palmer or not, but you know what an Arnold Palmer is. They don't market it that way, so don't yell at me if Arnold Palmer happens to be tuned into this thing. But there is an Arnold Palmer brand that low calorie, discreet shipping. Go check out drinkhalo.com. All right. Matthew was in here a second ago and has hopped out, but he's probably in class right now. He probably walked out of class and then I didn't shut up fast enough for him to actually get on. So Matthew, if you're still watching it, oh, there he is. All right, let's get Matthew in. I assume this is class Matthew, but class Matthew. Cool, Matthew. Matthew, you still today?
Yeah, what's up?
Bro, it sounds like you're at a zoo right now, man.
Yeah, what's up?
How you feeling, man? You think we win this weekend?
You hear me, TJ?
Yeah, I can hear you, but man, it's loud in there.
I went out.
Okay.
We better win the next 2 games. We should end 8 wins. 8 wins. We still also need to fire Mike Norvell. And
Well,
let me tell you, there's one reason why we should fire Mike Norvell.
tell me.
The Alabama game. If we have the dudes to beat Alabama the way we did, tell me why we can't beat Stanford.
Nope, I agree. The inconsistency with this program, it's a lot of highs and lows. There's no ceiling and there's no floor.
If we're just bad, we can blame the players. We're not. We've seen us. We somewhat competed with Miami. Like we should have dominated Clemson, but no. We dominated Alabama, so why can't we dominate a Pitt, a Stanford? Like,
What
what are we
Pies
waiting
game
for?
today?
All I'm at once right now, so thanks for starting late. So,
Dude, we started late just so you could call in. But dude, Matthew, it's loud as heck. I'm gonna respond to it, but thank you for calling in, my man.
yeah, no problem. Go Noles.
Who knows? Dude, Matthew's my man, dude. This kid, like, like people in your life that just make you feel better about yourself. Maybe they tell you nice things or they buy you nice things. Like, I guess it depends on like what your love language is or whatever. There are only a few people in my life that make me feel better about who I am as a person than Matthew calling in from school. Like every week, dude cuts class, dude skips school, dude calls in during his lunch break. That's not a shot at anybody else on here that's listening, but y'all got a lot of work to do to beat Matthew. And I agree, CJ, the call was tough because it was so loud. This is a high school kid calling in from his lunch break. Shout out to the effort, though. The execution, it's kind of like Jameis, right? Execution in the NFL hasn't always been there, but the effort is 1,000%. So anybody that calls another lunch break at high school, you get an A+ in my book, bro. It's all effort. And Matthew's right. The team is horribly inconsistent, and that falls on coaching. And for Mike Norvell to come to the podium, I think it was after the Stanford game, and admit that, like, dude, this is on me. I did not have them ready. And I do think there's an element of coach speak there. I think there's an element of like, hey, it sounds better than blaming my players. But it was the truth. Like Mike Norvell didn't have that team ready. And you would think after 3 straight losses, the Pitt game, the Virginia game, the Miami game, where you lost them so close, this was your chance. I mean, you've had so many chances, But the Stanford game was your chance to come out and say, like, look, no, we actually do take football seriously. We lost to 3 teams that are all ranked. They were close games. Florida State's like 24 points away from being undefeated at that point, whatever the point total was. It was less than that at that point. They were so close. I get it. If you had just given a little bit more effort and you had just gotten your team a little bit more ready than you did. And so again, that's why the NC State and the Florida and the Virginia Tech and the Wake Forest games don't even matter to me. They matter in the perspective of like, yeah, I want to beat UF. Yeah, I'm not driving to Raleigh, North Carolina from Tampa, Florida to watch a loss. But they don't even matter with the context of importance to his job. I continue to say this phrase because I can't think of anything else and I'm just not very smart. But the cake has already been baked. Mike Norvell has shown you who he is. And beating teams without coaches and who have already quit down the stretch it does not move the needle to me. Any chance the team lost to Stanford because they thought he'd get fired? CJ, I don't know if you're asking, like, was it distracting that week? I did not. I don't think so. If that's the question, is like, were they too distracted because of all? I don't think so. I don't think his future was decided after Pitt. Clearly, it wasn't even decided after Stanford. I don't think so. Because if they had come out as an 18.5 point favorite and beat the dog crap out of Stanford like they did against Wake Forest, like they did against Virginia Tech, I don't think that would have made the whole fan base feel better, but you would have been what? 4-4 at that point? No, 4-3. You would have been over 500. You'd have been coming home to play Wake Forest. You'd been 5-3 with that game. Say you lose to Clemson, you get to 5-4. I guess it would have been no. You would have been. What is our record? Beat Virginia Tech. Yeah, you'd be 6-3 right now, right? Is that math right? Yeah, 9 wins or 9 games. You'd be 6-3 with a chance to get to 8-4, right? Because you lost to Clemson. Oh, did they want him to be fired? So they made the jokes after. I doubt it. I doubt they wanted it. I don't think so. I think that, the reports of, there are always guys going to be on the roster that, I don't know, they're probably that most of that was immaturity. There's a lack of respect for sure. There's a lack of accountability within this program. You see that with the coaching staff. Again, look who's coaching linebackers. Look how bad the special teams is this year. Yeah, there's some problems. There's a lack of accountability and lack of respect. I don't think they were actively trying to lose to get him fired. If they were, why they try so hard the next week against Wake Forest? Why they try so hard against Virginia Tech? Why did the defense play so well against Clemson? So I don't think so. I just think it's a lack of focus, a lack of accountability. And that, again, starts at the top and maybe even goes up higher than Mike Norvell at this point within Florida State. I'm just expecting that we're stuck with him for 2026 and we'll be watching an infuriating on-field product for the foreseeable future. Yeah, Terrier, I don't agree. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Terriel MR, Mr. Terriel, maybe, I don't know. But I don't disagree. I think it's a really hard sell for this fan base. Shout out to this fan base, though. That's what I want. That's the direction I want to go. We've been so doom and gloom. We've been so negative here on the show, which, while I'm spreading some positivity, I do appreciate our friends over at Tallahassee Ford for all that they do for us. And again, I don't know who's watching this that may be in the market for a car today, but if you are in the future, make sure you hit up our friends at Tallahassee Ford. They will deliver to you if you're watching this anywhere, as long as it's not Yanni over in London or somebody in Hawaii or Alaska. So appreciate those fine folks over there. Whether Florida State's good or bad, you're eventually going to need a car. Let them be the ones to take care of you. But to spread some positivity, and then I'll get Evan on. Shout out this fan base, man, because it's been almost just said a bad word before noon, and I'm not going to do it. I'm going to keep my wits about me. It's been a crappy 2 years, and this fan base continues to show up, man. At the Wake Forest game, I thought it would be terribly attended. At the Virginia Tech game, I thought that would be terrible attendance. Now, well, it wasn't a sellout. I get it. But Miami's a top 15 team, and you had more fans in the stands than them by about double. Shout out to this fan base, man. And what maybe is the most frustrating part of this is here you guys go. Thousands of people will watch me rant about this for the 100th time on the channel. and you guys support everything I do, and you support everything FSU does, and you're still on there following on social media, and you're still showing up, going to games, and you still give a damn about this program. And what sucks the most, outside of my own mental health for me, is the fact that this fan base deserves better. They just do. There is no reason you guys should have gone to the Wake Forest game or the Virginia Tech game. Like, there just isn't. There is no reason that I should be driving to Raleigh this weekend. There's no reason that I should be going to Gainesville. The season is over. The product's not very good. Even in their wins, they don't look amazing. But this fan base continues to support. If there was ever like this flashing red sign for the administration and the people that run things at Florida State to look at, it would be, man, what can we do to give back to our fan base? What can we do to try and make things a little bit better for them? And I don't know what that support's going to look like next year. I don't know how you guys are going to show up next year. I know that I'm getting my season tickets and I'll be there more Saturdays than I'm not. But I don't know that this fan base after Stanford really had a reason to show up, and they continued to. And to me, again, outside of my own mental health issues that I have watching this team play, this abusive relationship that I continue to be in with Florida State athletics, I am disappointed because I do think this fan base deserves better. And most fan bases deserve better. Let's be very frank. Florida continued to sell out games when Billy Napier was their coach. As bad as we know we had it with Mike Norvell or have had it with Mike Norvell, they supported Billy Napier, of all people. And so, yeah, a lot of fan bases deserve better. And hopefully, I don't know how else to plead with the administration. I don't know how else to plead with the athletic department. I don't know how many videos we have to make or tweets we have to send or emails you have to put out. But hopefully they will catch on to that at some point. And if it's not at the end of 25, hopefully it'll be at the end of 26 if things go in a similar fashion again. Hopefully they will get back to the standard that we all grew up on and that we all understand was the Florida State standard for a long time that Bobby put in place. And no matter what your thoughts on him or not, that Jimbo mostly carried for his time here too. Hopefully enough pleading and begging and whining and moaning will get them there. Evan, thanks for listening to me rant while you've been on hold. How's it going?
Hey, what's up, buddy? How you living?
Boy, I sound like a depression show. That's how I'm living right now, man. But other than that, man, like other than just ranting about FSU, I'm doing really well, man. I got no complaints.
Yeah, most certainly, man. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say this. I think he is going to be back in 26, man. I'm gonna just go ahead and say that right now. I do think our defensive coordinator will be gone. I think he's going to UCLA, and I'm 50-50 on if Gus is coming back or not. Um, I I don't know what direction we're moving in football wise, but yeah, it's not looking good.
I think there is okay. So I would say I would be pretty surprised if Tony White is back next year. I haven't done any content on this. I haven't done any videos on it. I've not talked about it. So I'm not trying to I'm leaking the insider information, but I may do more on that later. Just, hasn't felt as relevant just because I think there's still a chance that Mike goes too. And so obviously if Mike goes, then Tony's going to be gone. I don't think that has been, like the best fit both inside the building and on the field. And that's all I'll say about that. But yeah, Tony's gone. I think Tony's gone one way or the other. I think Gus, if Tommy gets the extra year of eligibility, I think Gus will come back. I don't know like who's beating down the doors to go get Malzahn. I would think he would come back. If he doesn't, maybe that's a blessing in disguise because you don't have to end up paying his buyout, if things don't work out. I don't know. I think Gus has a good chance. But yeah, 7-5, and I think Mike's coming back would be my official take on that. So
yeah, I was saying if he makes a bowl, he's definitely coming back. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that one. But I guess my other question would be
let me push back on that just a little bit. If they get blown out this weekend, I think, well, then I don't think they make a bowl because I do think they lose to Florida. Like I think at this point they beat NC State, they lose to Florida. So
yeah,
I think if they would, yeah, I don't know. You might be right. Making a bowl might bring them back. I think it's 50-50 there.
I got you.
But maybe I'll go 51-49. 51 he stays. I'll go slightly more. But yeah, now hearing me say it out loud, Another sip of Diet Coke. Sorry, what was your other one before I interrupted you?
So before I get out of here, because I gotta jump on at 12 o'clock. If we'll just say he does get let go at the end of the season, who do we get? Because obviously James Franklin is already gone. Somewhere in my mind, I know this one was a long shot, but the OC from Ohio State, I think it's Heartline. I
Yeah.
think his name.
I like the coordinator route. I think when you look at some of the best coaches in college football right now, Kirby Smart was a coordinator, Dan Lanning was a coordinator, Steve Sarkisian was a coordinator, Ryan Day was a coordinator. How many elite coaches in college football? Was Kalen DeBoer a coordinator? I don't know I know he was at Washington, and then before that, I don't know if he was or not. I mean, everybody starts out as a coordinator at one point, but yeah, I mean, he was a coordinator at Indiana for a year. And then before that, like Fresno State, Eastern Michigan, Southern Illinois. I mean, most of these guys are coordinators at some point, but I wouldn't put Kalen DeBoer in the coordinator category. But like you look at the great coaches in college football, I mean, a lot of them were coordinators for quite a while, So like Mario, not that I'd put him in great coaches, but like he was never really he kind of made the rise and kind of went like the group of 5 route to get to Oregon so like I wouldn't put, and I kind of feel the same way about DeBoer. Like he wasn't really a coordinator like some of those other guys that were under big time programs. I like Glenn Schumann a lot, the defensive coordinator from Georgia. I mean, he worked under Saban and he worked under Kirby, has been in the SEC, understands big boy football, really good recruiter, really good regionally, as Athens is obviously not that far. Neither is Tuscaloosa. I think he would be a really good pickup and take big boy football seriously because he's worked under both Kirby and Nick. I don't know that is a sure thing to work out, just like I don't know that Brian Hartline is a sure thing to work out, but I do like your coordinator idea. I think I would be more comfortable with that. Like if you could pull a Lincoln Riley or a Lane Kiffin or a Marcus Freeman or something, like any of these names, yes, I would certainly take a somewhat proven coach. I like the coordinator route more than like the next, it would go like, big splash hire, coordinator hire, then, one of these ACC guys like Manny Diaz or Fran Brown, and then down to the group of 5, so like that would be the order that I would hire, if I was hiring. So to me, I don't think you're going to make a massive splash like that, like some of those first names I mentioned. So the coordinator route, whether that be Oregon's coordinators, Ohio State's, or Georgia's, those all make a ton of sense to me.
Yeah, definitely, man. You brought up some good points, but I'm still gonna be listening. I gotta go jump on my 12 o'clock teams meeting because I just love those, man. But go Noles, and we'll find out what's about to happen shortly, I hope.
Appreciate you as always, my man. All right, listen, if you are going to NC State, I said this earlier, but for anybody that's new joining in, I'll talk about this on the preview show tomorrow night when we put that out, or 7 o'clock like we normally do. If you're going to NC State, hit me up on some kind of social media. Several of you have. Again, we're not doing something Double Fry specific, but we will be there. And we're going to go crash somebody else's tailgate that I believe it's in Arena East. So if you look at their parking lots, I'm not telling you to go get a space there or not. They're like $100. Arena East is, I think, where we're going to be tailgating. But hit me up closer to or on game day on Friday. Love to meet you. As we get out of here, I got a 12 o'clock as well. Go check out the Sleeper app. Use our code DFNS for a 100% match up to $100. We appreciate Sleeper always for their support. We will get through this. If I just have to whine and moan and complain for the next year, then I will do it. And hopefully things turn around. If Mike Norvell comes back next year, I will cheer for him to go 12-0. Do I think that's going to happen? Probably not, but I will cheer for it to be the case. Appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in. All of our friends, Drink Halo, which the show is brought to you by Sleeper and Tallahassee Ford, for all of their support. We will talk to you guys soon. Go Noles.